All right, everyone, this is 1.5 solving angle pairs. This will be the last section of chapter 1.5, okay? As you can see, we have several individual problems here. I've given you a lot of room to work. And on the first one, we have two diagrams on the right-hand side, and all they want to know is whether the pair of angles that they provide are vertical angles, a linear pair, or neither. Okay, so if you take a look, we have angle 1 and angle 2 for our first question. And angle 1 and angle 2 actually create a straight line. Okay, those are a linear pair. Okay. Next you have angle 1 and angle 3. Well, angle 1 and angle 3 are formed by two linear pairs. So here's one linear pair, here's another linear pair, and when two linear pairs intersect each other, they create that bow tie shape. So these are vertical angles. Okay. Very important, angle 2 and angle 4. Well, remember we said for it to be a vertical angle, it needs to be made by two linear pairs. Well, here's one straight line, and here's the other straight line. But in order for that to be vertical angles, you would also need to include angle 5. So this is neither. Okay. Angle 4 and angle 5. Well, here's 4 and here's 5, and this is the angle they create. Well, I don't see a bow tie there or a straight line, so that's neither. Angle 6 and angle 8. 6 and 8 are right here, formed by two straight lines crossing each other, making that bow tie effect, so those are vertical angles. Angle 8 and angle 9. Angle 8 and angle 9 create a linear pair. Angle 11 and angle 10, again, creating that linear pair. And last we have angle 10 and angle 7. Well, these are both interior. We didn't learn about these yet. They're consecutive angles. For right now, we're going to say neither. Okay, so take your time and answer this section the same way that I just solved numbers 1 through 8. So pause the video, fill those out, and you can check your answers for your accuracy at the end of the video. Okay, here I see two straight lines intersecting each other, creating vertical angles, that bow tie effect. Vertical angles are congruent. Which means we could set 105 equal to 2x minus 11. Okay. Normal two-step equation, add 11 on both sides. 11's cancel. Here we have 105 plus 11, which makes 116 equals 2x. Divide by 2 on both sides, and x equals 58. Now what I would like you to do is to solve for both sides, since 2x minus 11 is really 2 times 58 minus 11. Well, 2 times 58 is 116 minus 11, which is 105 degrees. Which makes sense because these are vertical angles and they are congruent. Find the value of the variables. Well, here we have 6x plus 19 and x, and these two angles create a linear pair. So linear pairs equal 180 degrees. So we have x plus 6x plus 19 equals 180. My x values are on the same side of the equal sign, so let's combine those. So 1x plus 6x makes 7x plus 19 equals 180. We're going to subtract 19 on both sides. 7x equals 180 minus 19 is 161. Last, you need to divide both sides by 7, and x equals 23 degrees. So we already know that this angle is 23 degrees. But for the second one, 6x plus 19 is really 6 times 23 plus 19. 6 times 23 is 138. Plus 19 is 157 degrees. And that makes sense because 157 plus 23 makes 180 degrees. All right, find the values of the variables. Again, we have one angle that's 78 degrees, another one that's 5x minus 2. These are vertical. And vertical angles are congruent. Set them equal to each other. 78 equals 5x minus 2. Add 2 on both sides. So 80 equals 5x. Divide both sides by 5, and 80 divided by 5 is 16. Okay, now in order to solve for the angle, we have 5 times 16 minus 2. Knowing that these angles are vertical, this should equal 78 degrees. 5 times 16 is 80, and 80 minus 2 is 78 degrees. Okay, here, we're getting a little more difficult. We have 3 unknowns. There's several ways we can solve. I can either approach the vertical angles first, or if I don't want to do the vertical angles first, I could solve for a linear pair here with these 2 angles equaling 180, or I could solve for a linear pair this way with these 2 angles equaling 180. So there's 3 separate options that we can go about to solve this equation. I'm going to start with the vertical angles. I'm going to set these 2 equal to each other. 6x equals, set the vertical angles equal to each other, 4x plus 16. I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides, and 6x minus 4x makes 2x, which equals 16. Divide by 2 on both sides, and x equals 8. Now that we know x equals 8, we can solve for 2 things, this angle and this angle. So 6 times 8, okay, is equal to 48 degrees. So this angle here is 48 degrees, which means that this angle, since they are vertical, should also be 48. But let's see. 4 times 8 plus 16. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 16 is 48 degrees. So it works out. 48 degrees. Now, in order to solve for 11y, we have a linear pair here. So we're going to say 11y plus 48 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. Subtract 48 on both sides, and 11y equals 180 minus 48 which is 132. If we divide both sides by 11, we get y equals, and 132 divided by 11 is 12. So y equals 12. In order to solve for 11y, we need to do 11 times 12. And 11 times 12 is 132 degrees. Okay. So you've solved for all three. We have 48 degrees, 132 degrees, and another 48 degrees. All right, they're going to continue to build and get more challenging as we go. Again, we have one with three separate angles, here, here, and here. Again, we have a pair, whoops, sorry about that, guys. We have a pair of vertical angles. But if we don't want to solve the vertical angles first, we could solve the linear pairs, which are this way, or this way. Now, the only problem is that we have different variables, y, x, and x. What I would suggest is when you solve your first equation, you choose the angles that have the same variable. So here is x, and here is x. Let's set these two vertical angles equal to each other. 3x plus 20 equals 5x minus 50. Subtract 3x on both sides. And we get 20 is equal to 2x minus 50. Add 50 to both sides. And 70 equals 2x. Divide by 2 on both sides, and x equals 35. Okay, knowing that x equals 35, we can solve for the two angles with x. 3 times 35 plus 20, and I can also solve for 5 times 35 minus 50. 3 times 35 is 70, plus 20 makes 90, so this is 90 degrees. And 5 times 35 minus 50 is 125. And that doesn't work out nice. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I made a mistake here. 3 times 35, not 2 times 35, is 105. I was going to say, that did not look like a right angle. 105 plus 20 makes 125. Okay, so let's erase this. The last variable you have to solve for is for y. So we have a linear pair here. So let's solve it in red. Let's see. Y plus 125 equals 180. It's a one-step equation. Subtract 125 on both sides. And y is equal to 180 minus 125. Which is 55. Okay, all three angles are solved for. This problem is completed.